So, here's the situation. My soon-to-be ex-wife, Leah, she's 26, and I'm 28, have been married for 6 months after dating for 2 years. A few days ago, I talked to a lawyer and filed for divorce because she sold the wedding ring I proposed to her with. This wasn't just any ring, it was a really expensive one with a platinum band and diamonds. But more importantly, it's been in my family for 3 generations. It's a family heirloom, and I made it clear to her that I wanted it to stay in the family. She knew how much it meant to me. Last week, I noticed she wasn't wearing the ring anymore, so I asked her about it. She casually told me she'd sold it to buy some luxury stuff, like designer handbags and other jewelry. She said the ring looked old-fashioned and wasn't her style. She acted like it was no big deal, but I was furious. My mom and grandma are still alive, and if they found out, they'd be devastated. I told her she needed to return all the stuff she bought and get the ring back because it's a family heirloom. She knew how important it was, so I couldn't believe she'd do something like this. But then she made it clear it wasn't a mistake. She did it on purpose. She even had a whole explanation ready. She said she never liked the ring from the day I proposed but didn't say anything because it was a family piece. Now that we're married, she felt it was technically hers to do whatever she wanted with, so she sold it. She thought her reasoning made perfect sense, but I was beyond angry. We had a huge fight, probably the worst one we've ever had. I told her I wanted that ring back no matter what, but she refused. She said if I wanted it back, I'd have to buy it from the buyer myself. I was so upset that I packed a bag and left for a hotel in the suburbs, where I'm staying now. She didn't try to stop me or even look up as I walked out. And since then, she hasn't reached out to me at all. It's been really tough, and I'm still trying to process everything. After waiting 2 days for Leah to reach out to me and hearing nothing, I talked to my friends, and they connected me with a good divorce lawyer. On the 3rd day after speaking with the lawyer, I blocked Leah on everything. Yesterday, once I got the divorce papers from the lawyer, I signed them and went back home during the day. I took the day off work so I could go when she wasn't there. I left the divorce papers on the coffee table and started packing up all my stuff. Luckily, some friends came to help me move the bigger things, and they're storing it at their places until I find a new place to live. By the time I was done, everything that belonged to me was gone. It was like I was never there. Then I went back to the hotel. Later that evening, around 6 o'clock, Leah came home from work and obviously saw the divorce papers and that all my stuff was gone. After that, her parents started calling and texting me, saying I couldn't just end our marriage over something so petty, that I should talk to her, and that I needed to unblock her. But I didn't want to hear it, so I blocked them too. Then Leah sent her friends after me. They started saying I was being unreasonable, petty, and selfish. They also told me that after I left, Leah had reached out to the jeweler she sold the ring to and was trying to buy it back because she felt bad about it. But apparently I didn't give her enough time, so now they're making me out to be the bad guy. Honestly, since last night, I've been feeling weird and wondering if I overreacted. I filed for divorce because Leah sold the wedding ring that's been in my family for generations. Just to add, no one in my family knows what's happening right now. I didn't want to worry them, especially my maternal grandmother. The ring originally belonged to her because my grandfather proposed to her with it. She's pretty old, and I'm worried if she finds out Leah sold it, it could seriously affect her health. The ring means a lot to my family, and I've been in touch with the jeweler Leah sold it to for the past couple of days. She gave me their contact info during our fight when she told me if I wanted the ring back so badly, I should just buy it myself. I haven't been able to buy the ring back yet because the jeweler is asking for way more than what he paid Leah for it. I'm trying to negotiate with him, but it's been frustrating. I did ask him if Leah was also trying to buy it back, and he confirmed she is. He said he'll sell it to whoever comes up with the money first. On top of that, if another customer offers more than what he's quoting to us, he'll sell it to them instead. The ring is on display in his store, and he doesn't hold items for anyone, so it's a race against time. Dealing with him has been annoying, but I get it, he's a businessman. Leah sold him the ring and he paid a fair price for it, so he's just doing what makes sense for him. Still, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that I can either come up with the money soon or he'll lower the price. Once I get the ring back, I'll finally tell my family what's been going on. Right now, I don't want to say anything because it'll just cause a lot of panic, especially for my grandma, who the ring originally belonged to. Things are already messy enough, and I'm trying to handle this as carefully as I can. Update 1. It's been 4 days since I first shared my story here. I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who commented. It really helped me feel like I'm doing the right thing because, honestly, I was starting to doubt myself. Her friends got into my head trying to make me out to be the bad guy, but I didn't let it get to me. I ended up blocking all her friends and family because, after everything that's happened, I just don't want anything to do with them right now. It's been messing with my mind. Leah and I have been together for years, and I never thought something like this would happen. Sure, she's always been a bit into material things, which I've accepted, but I never expected her to go this far. What really shocked me was how she acted like she hadn't done anything wrong. We've had fights before, every couple does, but this was different. I saw a side of her I hadn't seen before, and that's why I decided to file for divorce. We've only been married for 6 months, and if she thinks she can treat me this way, she's wrong. I'm not gonna let her walk all over me. The whole thing with the ring might seem small to some people, but for me and my family, it's a big deal. She knew how important it was to me. I even mentioned in my first post that I wanted it to be a family heirloom. You don't just sell something like that and act like it's no big deal because it's technically yours now. I wish I could explain all this to her family and friends, who are so quick to paint me as the villain. But honestly, it's not worth the energy. She hasn't tried to reach out to me, which is strange considering how desperate she seems. I know she has a fake social media account, and I haven't blocked it, but she hasn't messaged me from there either. So, I don't think she's trying to get back together. It feels more like she's trying to make me look like the bad guy for filing for divorce. At least, that's how it seems right now. Honestly, I'm not sure about anything anymore. So, about the ring and the jeweler, I've been talking to him, and he told me Leah hasn't responded to his messages for the past 2 days. Maybe she's backed off, I don't know. But I told him I'd buy the ring back at his price because, honestly, I'm just desperate to get it back no matter what. He agreed, so tomorrow I'm going to his store, writing him a check and finally getting my ring back. After that, I'm going to tell my family everything that's been going on with Leah and me. It's time they know. They still have no idea what's happening, and my mom's been asking why neither of us is home and why Leah isn't answering her calls. I didn't even know Leah had moved out. I'm guessing she's staying with her parents or friends. It doesn't really matter, but it feels pretty final, like it's really over. I'm expecting to hear from her lawyer in the next few days, and then we can move forward with the divorce. I have a feeling she won't contest it, and I really hope she doesn't because I've tried to be fair with the terms. She shouldn't need to ask for anything more. I'll find out soon enough, and I'm just hoping things go smoothly from here. I'm already losing a lot of money buying back the ring, and I don't want to spend a fortune on lawyers fighting a long, messy divorce. I just want this to be over and for things to work out. I don't know what else to say at this point. Update 2. Today, I finally went to the jeweler, wrote him a check, and got the ring back. The jeweler seemed really curious about my situation. He was chatty and a bit of a gossip, so he mentioned he'd never dealt with something like this before and found it pretty interesting. He also told me Leah had suddenly blocked him, which I thought was telling. Her friends made it seem like she felt so bad about our fight that she was genuinely trying to buy the ring back. But I guess once she realized I wasn't coming back, she gave up. It was all just for show. She doesn't actually care about any of this. She just wants to look good in the situation. Honestly, it just confirms what I already thought, so I'm not surprised. After the jeweler, I decided to come clean with my family. I was tired of keeping things from them, and now that I had the ring, I didn't have to worry about that part anymore. I drove to my mom's place, sat my parents down, and FaceTimed my grandma to explain everything. They were all shocked Leah would do something like this. She always came across as such a sweet person, so no one expected her to pull something like this. My grandma was glad I got the ring back, but she thought it was unfair that I had to buy it myself. She suggested I make Leah pay for it during the divorce. I told her I'd think about it, but honestly, I know that's not going to work. It would just turn into a long, messy battle with endless negotiations, and that's the last thing I want. These things can drag on forever, and I don't have the energy or money to keep paying lawyers. I didn't say it to her, but in a situation like this, there's not much I can do except let it go. Sounds bad, but it's the more practical choice. We didn't have any written agreement, so it's not like I can prove anything. These are just social expectations, not strict laws, so taking legal action would be pointless unless I could afford top-tier lawyers. My parents understood, so they didn't push it further. But after we ended the call with my grandma, they told me how disappointed they were with how things turned out with Leah. They'd always really liked her and never had any issues. She was the perfect daughter-in-law, and when we got married, my parents were thrilled because she fit into our family so well. She was like the missing piece of a puzzle. Now, not even a year into our marriage, we're getting divorced. It's just really sad how things turned out. I broke down crying while talking to my parents, and they had to comfort me. Up until now, I hadn't let myself really feel or process everything I've been going through. But today, I just couldn't hold it in anymore. Hearing them talk about Leah and how upset they were about the situation made me feel even worse about everything. They're right. We're getting divorced not even a year into our marriage. A few months ago, even a few weeks ago, I never could have imagined this happening. But here we are, and there's nothing I can do to change it. The hardest part is knowing that Leah doesn't think she's done anything serious enough to warrant a divorce. That's why she sent her family and friends after me, trying to make me feel guilty and pressure me into coming back. The whole thing with the jeweler was just an act. She wanted to make it look like she felt bad. But I don't think she actually does. She doesn't understand how much this has hurt me, and she probably thinks I'm overreacting. And that's what hurts the most. But after talking to my parents, I did feel a little better. It was like a huge weight had been lifted off my chest. They told me they were proud of me for standing up for myself and not letting anyone walk all over me. Even if it's someone I love. That's all the reassurance I needed. To know that at least my parents think I'm doing the right thing and that I'm not overreacting. If something hurts me, it just hurts. I can't change that. And if she doesn't care that she's hurting me, then maybe it's better for us to end this marriage now before things get worse. Now, I'm just waiting for her to respond to the divorce papers. I really hope she doesn't contest anything because that's the last thing I need right now. She's already caused me enough trouble. I don't want any more. Update 3. It's been a few days since my last update, and I've been pretty swamped. I had to catch up on work I'd missed, and I ended up putting in extra hours because, with everything going on, I couldn't risk upsetting my bosses. On top of that, instead of chilling in my free time, I've been apartment hunting near work. Staying at the hotel just isn't practical anymore, so I'm glad I found a place with a decent rent deal. I'm moving in next week. All this busyness has actually been a good distraction from thinking about Leah and all the mess with her. But then, last night, she called me. It was from an unknown number, so I answered without thinking. When I realized it was her, I didn't know whether to stay on the line or hang up. I ended up staying quiet the whole time. She didn't say sorry or anything. She just told me she really wanted to talk one last time, even though she knew she didn't have the right to ask. She wanted to meet, so she could give me the signed divorce papers in person and have a final conversation to clear things out. When I didn't respond, she said she'd be waiting at home in the afternoon and then hung up. I spent the rest of the evening torn about what to do, but this morning I decided to go. Even if I didn't want to talk to her, I figured it was better to get the papers directly. Plus, I was curious about what she wanted to clear up. When I got to the house, it was mostly empty, just the furniture was left, and since the place came furnished, that's staying. We're ending the lease by the end of the month anyway. After handing me the divorce papers, she also gave me a check. I was confused at first, but then I saw the amount, and it was a pretty big sum. She explained that she'd returned everything she bought with the money from selling the ring. Since we weren't going to be together anymore, she thought it was only right to give the money back to me. It was a few thousand less than what I'd paid to buy the ring back, so I mentioned that to her. She said she'd cover the difference in installments over the next few months, but for now, this was all she could afford. I was okay with that. Honestly, I'd expected to lose all the money I spent getting the ring back, so getting some of it back felt like a small win. It was a bit awkward, but I thanked her anyway. That's when she finally apologized. She started tearing up and said she never meant for things to go so wrong, but it was too late to fix anything now. She thought it was better for us to just let each other go. I didn't know how to respond, so I just stood there quietly while she kept talking. She said she'd been feeling terrible for weeks, ever since I left. Even though her family and friends were on her side, she couldn't convince herself she'd done the right thing or that I'd overreacted. Deep down, she knew I was right and that she'd made a huge mistake. She admitted there were times she wanted to reach out, but I'd already blocked her, and she was scared I'd reject her. She didn't think she could handle that, so she stayed away. She also said she knows I deserve better, which is why she thinks divorce is the right choice. By the end, she was crying but managed to finish what she wanted to say. Then she walked away without waiting for me to respond. I was kind of in shock. I just stood there in the living room for a few minutes after she left, then sat on the couch for about half an hour trying to process everything. After I heard her car drive off, I ended up crying too. Eventually, I left and went back to the hotel. Tomorrow, I'll go to the bank to cash the check. I've already talked to my lawyer about the divorce papers, and since there's nothing left to discuss, we're just waiting for the mandatory waiting period to end. After that, we'll officially be divorced. I thought I'd feel better about this than I do right now, but I guess it's going to take time to move on. For now, it hurts, and I'm letting it hurt because there's really nothing else I can do about it. Update 4. Today, I went to the bank and cashed the check. For some reason, it felt like a weight was lifted off my shoulders. Leah and I haven't talked since what happened at the house a few days ago, And honestly, I'm starting to let things go. Holding on to all that anger and pain isn't helping me, and I just want to put that whole chapter behind me and move forward. I've already moved out of the hotel and into my apartment. With the help of my friends, I got everything set up pretty quickly. I'm so thankful for them. They've been checking in on me regularly, and my parents have been there for me emotionally too. I don't think I could have handled everything as well as I have without their support. It's not that I don't miss Leah or feel bad about how things turned out. I do, but I can't let those feelings take over my life. The world doesn't stop just because I'm dealing with this. I still have to work, pay bills, and handle all the everyday stuff. Having people around me who care has been a huge help, and I'm really grateful for that. In a few weeks, my divorce will be finalized, and all the legal stuff will be over. I'm thinking about taking a trip or doing something fun and spontaneous to clear my head. A change of scenery sounds really good right now. I've been talking to some friends, and they're into the idea of traveling together, so I might just go for it. By now, pretty much everyone knows that Leah and I aren't together anymore. She made a post about it on social media, and since I'm not really active online, I didn't say anything or make any announcements. A lot of our mutual friends reached out to me after her post. Some were genuinely supportive, telling me things will get better, while others just wanted to gossip. But at least now everyone knows, so I don't have to keep explaining what happened. I'm glad that part is over. Anyway, with all that out in the open, I'm just focused on moving forward and starting fresh. Final update. Hey everyone. So, my divorce was officially finalized earlier this week. Leah called me again from the same number she used before to apologize once more. This time, instead of staying quiet, I told her that I wish things could have worked out between us. But it is what it is, and I genuinely hope she has the best in life. She thanked me, hung up, and that was the end of it. It's painful, but I guess this is as close as we'll get to closure. Right now, I'm really focusing on moving forward. Like I mentioned in my last update, I'm going on a trip with some friends in a few days, and I'm super excited about it. I've been counting down the weeks, and now it's finally here. It feels like I'm starting a brand new chapter, which is both scary and exciting. I'm not completely over the past, but there's no going back. The only direction now is forward, and I'm hoping this trip helps me take those steps. That said, I don't think I'll be posting here for a while, so I just want to take a moment to thank everyone who commented, supported me, or even reached out. It means a lot, especially since you're all strangers to me. The fact that so many people cared about what I was going through is really touching. So thank you, I mean it.